Jerry, this is disgusting.
How did it get so dirty already?
Because your crappy pool bot doesn't work.
Pool not found. Searching.
But the guy that lives behind the pool store dumpster gave me a sweet deal.
Oh my God, why didn't you hire Keith the pool guy like I told you?
Keith's schedule was full.
What are you jackoffs talking about? Ooh, Jerry's new pool sucks? Allow me.
No, Rick! This is my pool. I can handle this mess without your sci-fi shenanigans.
Copy that. Treat Jerry like a baby so he can feel like a man.
Come on, Rick, let's go!
Gotta scoot. Finally taking Morty to Boob World, and we need to stop by the store for supplies. Good luck with your septic tank, Jerry.
I gotta go to work. Someone's gotta win the bread around here.
Pool not found. Searching.
Poop world!
Oh yeah! Boob World, baby! Damn it. What the...
It appears there has been an accident.
That happens. No harm, no foul. Have a good one, buddy.
We should exchange information before going our separate ways.
We could go even separater ways by not exchanging anything.
But our bumpers collided.
Oh my God, is this how you make friends?
Is this how you make enemies?
What the hell does that mean?
Rick, stop!
He started it!
He did not start it. Be the bigger man so we can go to Boob World already!
Fuck that. We gotta set this idiot straight. Look, buddy, it's obvious you're some kind of heightened kung fu archetype, but I'm a Doctor Who Loki, and people like you are like NPCs to me. So do yourself a favor and...
I have struck you with the 5-point exploding heart technique, the most fatal punch in all of martial arts. Victims are able to walk only 5 steps forward before their heart explodes.
5 steps forward?
Try it and find out.
Don't tell me what to do! I'll find out with science. Nice day for a backwards walk!
Are you really gonna—
No, stupid! Pull the car around and pick me up!
What if the smartest man in the universe was about to die because of a simple kung fu technique? In the next episode of Rick and Morty, Rick comes face to face with a mysterious old man who can take him down using a legendary strike that even science seems unable to explain. Meanwhile, Jerry finds himself caught in a ridiculous competition to prove that he doesn't need a professional pool cleaner to save his backyard pool. Rick Fu Hustle is the 3rd episode of Rick and Morty Season 9, and its title immediately reveals its inspiration, Stephen Chow's classic film Kung Fu Hustle. The preview introduces a conflict involving Rick, a mysterious elderly martial arts master, and a secondary storyline centered around Jerry and a pool cleaner named Keith. To get a better idea of where this episode might be heading, it's worth looking at the story behind Kung Fu Hustle. Directed by and starring Stephen Chow, the film is a martial arts comedy set in an exaggerated version of 1940s China. The story follows Singh, a clumsy petty criminal who dreams of joining the infamous Axe Gang. Hoping to appear far more dangerous than he really is, he attempts to intimidate and extort the residents of a humble housing complex. Beyond the action and comedy, one of the film's central themes is hidden potential. Singh begins as someone nobody takes seriously, but eventually discovers that he possesses extraordinary abilities. The story revolves around the idea that an apparently insignificant person can be hiding incredible power. If Rick and Morty is drawing direct inspiration from this movie, then one theory becomes especially compelling. The elderly man shown in the preview may be far more powerful than he appears. Just like in Kung Fu Hustle, someone who seems completely ordinary could be concealing remarkable abilities. Rick clearly underestimates him from the very beginning after what appears to be nothing more than a minor collision, convinced that the old man poses no real threat. But Rick and Morty has a long history of taking the core ideas behind the movies it parodies and reinventing them in its own way. That's why all signs point to this mysterious elder eventually proving that Rick made a huge mistake by judging him based on appearances. To get a better idea of what might happen in this episode, we first need to take a closer look at everything shown in the preview. The story begins with the Smith family's swimming pool completely contaminated. Jerry and Beth stand in the backyard staring at the mess, trying to figure out what went wrong. Interestingly, this isn't the first time we've seen Jerry dealing with the pool this season. He was already shown filling it up in the premiere, Summer of All Fears, and it briefly appeared again in Rick's Days, 7 Nights, making it seem like a small recurring detail the writers have intentionally kept in the background. Beth is clearly the most frustrated by the situation. After all, the robotic pool cleaner Jerry bought was supposed to keep the water clean. Since there doesn't seem to be an easy solution, she suggests hiring Keith, a young pool maintenance worker who has already been helping several of their neighbors. But Jerry has a completely different concern. The moment he sees Keith pull up in his truck and realizes he's a young, attractive blonde guy, he immediately rejects the idea of letting him anywhere near the house. Jerry's jealousy kicks in almost instantly, turning a simple pool maintenance issue into something much more personal. When Rick finds out what's going on, he offers to fix the entire problem in seconds. Jerry, however, stops him. This time, he wants to handle it himself. After all, he's the man of the house, and he's determined to prove that he can solve the situation on his own. Just then, Morty reminds Rick that they have far more important plans. The two of them are finally preparing to visit the famous Boob World, a location first mentioned back in Season 4's Rattlestar Ricklactica. Although the park has been referenced multiple times throughout the series, this would be the first opportunity for viewers to actually see it. As Beth leaves for work and Jerry remains behind dealing with the pool disaster, Rick and Morty head out to prepare for their trip. After gathering a few supplies, they're finally ready to make their long-awaited journey. For Morty, this would be an especially exciting experience since every previous attempt to visit Boob World has somehow fallen apart before they could get there. But just as Rick is about to take off, something unexpected happens. His vehicle accidentally collides with an elderly Asian man. What initially seems like a minor accident quickly turns into an argument, as Rick has absolutely no intention of sticking around to deal with it. Morty begs him to simply apologize and move on, but Rick is far more interested in proving that he's right. To him, putting the old man in his place becomes more important than reaching Boob World, which likely means neither Morty nor the audience will get to see the park in this episode. As the argument continues, Rick starts noticing something unusual. The man standing in front of him seems to fit every classic kung fu master stereotype imaginable. Naturally, Rick immediately dismisses him, convinced that his intelligence places him above any kind of physical threat. The problem is that the old man responds in a way Rick never expects. With impossible speed, he strikes Rick several times in the chest using a technique that closely resembles the legendary 5-point palm-exploding heart technique made famous by martial arts films. According to the old man, Rick only needs to take 5 steps forward for his heart to explode. While Rick is completely skeptical of such an absurd claim, he's also not willing to take the chance. Just to be safe, he decides to walk backward all the way back to his laboratory instead of moving forward, while attempting to scientifically determine whether such a ridiculous death could actually be possible. And that's exactly where the preview ends, leaving us with the biggest question of all. Is Rick dealing with nothing more than an old martial arts master, or someone capable of challenging even the laws of science itself? The most interesting theory may have nothing to do with the old man, martial arts, or even the episode's main fight. Instead, it could be connected to the direction Rick's character has been taking throughout Season 9. Ever since he finally defeated Rick Prime, Rick seems to have lost the goal that defined most of his life. For years, every major decision he made was driven by that pursuit. But now that he's achieved what he spent so long chasing, it feels like he's trying to fill that void by throwing himself into new conflicts. If we look at the episodes we've had so far, a pattern starts to emerge. In the season premiere, Rick found himself confronting evil Morty. In the second episode, he was forced to face the alternate life he could have lived and the happiness he was never able to hold on to. Now, in episode 3, it appears his newest opponent will be a mysterious kung fu master. That's why it's possible that the real story of this season isn't about the enemies Rick faces each week, but about his search for a new purpose. In fact, it's interesting that this entire conflict begins with something as insignificant as a minor accident. Under normal circumstances, Rick probably would have brushed it off and moved on. But this time, he chooses to stay and turn a small incident into a personal confrontation. The preview also includes another fascinating detail. The old man uses a technique that immediately brings to mind the famous 5-point palm-exploding heart technique from Kill Bill. However, similar martial arts references can also be found throughout several films by Stephen Chow, the creator of Kung Fu Hustle, which directly inspired this episode. That could suggest the writers didn't just borrow the movie's title for the episode, they may have also incorporated many of its themes, references, and storytelling elements. If that's the case, there's a good chance the episode will be packed with martial arts tributes, visual callbacks, and hidden details that haven't been revealed in the preview yet. And considering how Rick and Morty loves to reinterpret the stories it parodies, it wouldn't be surprising if this confrontation turns out to be far more important than it initially appears. Instead of simply fighting an unexpected kung fu master, Rick may ultimately be forced to confront the existential emptiness he's been trying to ignore ever since his war with Rick Prime came to an end. Stepping away from the main plot for a moment, the episode also appears to be setting up a secondary story centered around Jerry. With Rick distracted by his own problems and Beth away at work, Jerry finally has a chance to prove that he can handle something important on his own. That's where Keith, the pool cleaner, comes into the picture. More than just a maintenance worker, Keith may represent everything Jerry feels he isn't: confident, capable, and able to solve problems without relying on impossible technology or one of Rick's inventions. Because of that, it wouldn't be surprising if Jerry turns a simple pool cleaning job into a personal competition. What begins as an ordinary household problem could quickly become an obsession. Jerry will likely try to find alternatives to the robot he purchased, clean the pool himself, or even uncover the secret behind Keith's success. But the harder he tries to prove that he can do it alone, the more likely he is to make things worse. The contamination could spread, new problems could emerge, and the entire situation could spiral into something far more disastrous than it was at the start. Ironically, all of those mistakes may lead him directly to the outcome he was trying to avoid in the first place: hiring Keith. And that's where the most interesting aspect of this story comes in. The real conflict probably isn't with Keith at all. In fact, everything we've seen suggests that Keith is simply a friendly guy doing his job. That would mean the entire rivalry exists only inside Jerry's head. While Keith goes about his life as usual, Jerry will be battling his own insecurities and his constant need to prove that he has value within his family. As is often the case with the best Jerry-centered episodes, that search for validation will likely create a disaster far bigger than the contaminated pool that started it all. All signs point to Rick spending the episode trying to prove that science can overcome even a legendary kung fu technique. What starts as a minor accident could quickly escalate into an absurd showdown between advanced technology and martial arts. Meanwhile, Jerry will be dealing with a conflict of his own as he attempts to prove that he can solve his family's problems without relying on anyone else. A mission that will most likely end in complete disaster. For now, the episode looks like it will blend an action-packed main story with the kind of classic Jerry subplot that usually leads to chaos. But now, I want to hear from you. Do you think the old man will actually be able to defeat Rick? Let me know your theories in the comments below.